it handy with you. You have your points, you have your questions for Amanda. We'll take it at the end of the session. For a very, very smooth running of the session, I would request everybody to please switch off the audios as well as videos, because during the video time, the buffering is a bit slow. So it sometimes become a problem, right? We will be running a presentation which will be by Amanda, which will be going step by step process. The reason we brought out this webinar was basically we have been interacting with lots of scholars since a long time, and they are keep on asking us that how to uh, fight with the stress going around while doing the PhD program. The stress is of lot many things, but it has to be dealt with. It has to be addressed. This is where we came into action. We thought let's keep on, let's do something which is different, which is required for all the PhD students, which is required for all PhD scholars who are in process to complete their PhD. Because what happens is mental well-being, your stress level, your entire process has to be part of your PhD journey. So this is where we thought I spoke to Amanda, which who gave me this vision that let's do something for the PhD people. So about Amanda, I will just tell you a bit about her. Rest she will be taking over to this entire program. Uh, she is founder, life coach of Creating Alignment. She is an HCI certified health and life coach through an international coaching federation. She is certified nutritionist through International Sports Science Association, certified member of International Association of Counselors and Therapists. She has a wonderful profile. She has been dealing with lot of corporate and academic students. She has three levels of understanding, three levels of study. First level is called foundation building. The second level is called habit stacking, and third is master alignment. So technically, she'll be explaining you more about it during this webinar. What we actually do is we are an organization basically based in Chandigarh, All India Medical and Research Association. We are dealing in typically research programs with all the scholars across India. We have scholars from Maharashtra, we have scholars from South, and even we have scholars from abroad who are doing PhD with us. I would also like to thank KR Mangalam University. The entire team was very, very proactive in asking their scholars to join us during this webinar. The reason they wanted them to be stress-free throughout this entire process. So another thing which Amanda follows is a 5-point study which is called Money, Career, Bond, Spirit, and Health. So basically, entire process, entire structure, Amanda would be more speaking on it. So I will just take 2 minutes. You can grab your pen and paper. We can thus just carry it forward. I think Amanda has joined in. I will just like her to uh, come and let's start this wonderful session. I will take your questions after the end of this session. Hi, Amanda. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me today.
Hi, Amanda. I am your voice, I guess, is not coming up. If you can just check in.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Amanda. Good morning, and I guess it's 9 p.m. there at your place, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's 9:30 tonight
9:30.
on Saturday.
Uh, we had sent across your outline to most of the scholars. Everybody is really excited to have you to understand more about it. Uh, I would act as an I would first love to learn new things from you. Secondly, I will also act as an uh, moderator. If any questions comes in, I will be able more to uh, give you a right feedback. What is the question and what all? We can also take questions in the chat box. so that it is much more easier for us to carry it forward, right? You'd like to share a presentation? It's up to you.
Yes.
It's up to you now, Amanda.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me pull that up. Thank you for your patience. I am pulling it up right now. All right. Hello, everyone. Can you all see my presentation?
Yeah, Amanda, we can see your presentation.
Okay, wonderful. So I am so excited to be here with all of you today. And thank you so much, AMAIRA, for having me here. And what we're going to be really working on today is lifestyle strategies for reducing stress. So we're going to focus on the simple lifestyle strategies, the ones that are quick and easy and affordable, because we know sometimes when we're going through a PhD program, we're in a high stress situation, we don't have a lot of time and excess money. So we're going to focus on things that we can do right away. And the way we're going to do this today is first, we're really going to understand stress. We're going to break it down. And then we're going to go over 5 separate strategies that you can implement starting today. The first one is going to be grounding. The second is nature as medicine. The third is movement and energy flow. The fourth is breath work. And the fifth is connection. And once we go through those 5 strategies, we're going to end with some closing thoughts. So again, I had a beautiful introduction. I just wanted to remind everyone, I am a certified health and life coach. I am the founder of Creating Alignment, and I really focus on helping people create that alignment in their lives. I have been in a situation where I was working multiple jobs, I was in school, and I was so stressed, and I didn't have the best coping mechanisms and the best strategies to navigate them. And as I moved through my life, I started to realize that the best approach is one that's holistic, supportive, and real. So I'm working to guide my clients to break free from limiting patterns, any learned behavior, and working on having them step into a life that feels truly fulfilling. So let's start about understanding stress. And this is something that affects all of us. But here's the thing, stress really isn't the enemy. It's actually a signal. And when we learn how to work with it instead of against it, we can unlock a whole new level of ease, balance, and peace in our lives. And as well, stress, it's a natural response that helps us take action. And one thing I love to remind people is every action your body takes, it has a positive intention. So that stress, it's trying to alert you that something's not right. And once we know that that's an alert, we can focus on that level of awareness to change it. But where the problem comes in is that chronic stress. And we all know, too familiar, how chronic stress can really lead to burnout, reduced cognitive function, and emotional exhaustion. I mean, how many of us have been so stressed out that we just want to take a nap, or we just want to go on Netflix or Hulu and just binge watch a show, or maybe run around and do all the little things instead of actually doing our work? And we want to move away from that. So again, the solution to this is working with it and not against it. And as I mentioned earlier, I have gone through pretty stressful times myself. And I used to think that stress was something to fight against. It was almost like if I was stressed, I was failing somehow and I needed to work harder, try harder. I needed to figure out how to organize my life better. But over time, I started to realize that stress was that message from my body. And it was telling me that I needed to rest. I needed to take a break or shift my energy. It was that warning signal. So, what I'd love to do before we dive into these 5 strategies is let's do a check in with ourselves, because stress can show up in our body in so many ways. So, when you're thinking about this, try to remember, when I'm stressed, do I feel a tightness in my shoulders? Do maybe I get a headache, or I'm grinding my teeth or clenching my jaw? Maybe it's like a tension or a rock in your stomach, or maybe it's just that anxious, you're constantly moving, you're fidgeting with your hands, or maybe it's even in your throat. So try to take a moment and really notice where this shows up in your body. So now that you've noticed that, let's explore 5 simple, science-backed ways to reduce stress in a way that actually fits into your daily life. So the first one we're going to talk about is grounding and nervous system regulation. So let's talk about why it works. So to start, stress is stored in our nervous system. So when we feel anxious or overwhelmed or on edge, it's usually because our nervous system is stuck in that fight or flight response. And our nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, it controls how we react to stress. And there's 2 modes in that nervous system. The first is the sympathetic nervous system, which most of us know is the fight or flight. And that prepares the body for emergencies. And the other one is the parasympathetic nervous system, which we know as rest and digest. It really helps us recover and relax. And our goal is to constantly move from this fight or flight mode to this rest and digest mode, because we can't sustain being in that fight or flight, that stress response constantly. So one way to do that, it's called grounding. And it's also, you may have heard it called earthing. And what that involves is direct contact with the Earth's surface. Now, when I say the Earth's surface, we're all from all different parts of the world. So it might be grass where you are. It might be soil where you are, or sand. And you might even be close to the water. So maybe just stepping in a pool or by the water. Maybe it's a bunch of stones. Being in contact, in direct contact with the Earth's surface, it allows the body to absorb free electrons, and it acts as an antioxidant. It really reduces inflammation and it regulates cortisol levels. Think of an electric plug. There's always a grounding prong to dissipate the electricity. And that's usually connected outside through a copper rod that runs into the ground. And that dissipates the excess electricity. And as we're moving throughout the day, we build up an electrical current. And as a society, we don't really walk around barefoot anymore. We go from walking in our house, usually wearing socks. We're wearing shoes that the soles are rubber and thick. We're going in a car, which is, again, on rubber tires on the ground. And then we're back into a home. So understanding that nature has the power to literally reset us. And whether it's walking barefoot or touching natural surfaces, and again, those surfaces could be a tree. Those surfaces could be anything outside. Maybe it's fresh fruit on a tree. Maybe it's fresh flowers. And when we sit on the earth, just like when we were kids, I don't know if you had picnics outside, or just as a kid, you loved to run around barefoot or just sit outside and play with your toys. It lowers our cortisol and it reduces that inflammation and helps us restore balance in our body. And I go back to, again, when I was a kid, I remember running outside instinctively barefoot. And whenever I got to the beach, I loved squishing my toes in the sand. Or if I was near a pool, hanging my feet over the side of the pool with my feet kind of hanging and splashing in the water. And the moment my feet touched these surfaces, I just felt calm. I felt so happy. And as adults, we sometimes lose these connections, but our bodies still crave it. So honoring this and grounding really helps to reduce that stress. And I'd love to go through a grounding exercise with everyone and just to practice remembering what this feels like. So I know most of you are inside. So if you're open to it, I would love for you to close your eyes and just imagine that you're sitting or standing with your feet flat on the ground. And I'm going to have you inhale for 4 counts, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. And then exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And imagine that roots are extending from your feet into the earth, anchoring you. See them breaking through the floor, reaching deep into the earth. Feel them spreading wide and strong, intertwining with the soil, wrapping around rocks and anchoring you deeply. Imagine the earth's energy rising through these roots, flowing up into your legs, grounding and stabilizing you. Feel the support beneath you. Let any tension drain down through your roots into the earth. And with every breath, feel more connected, steady, and calm. And just notice if you feel that shift, even if it's just a few moments of grounding, it can really regulate your nervous system and bring you back to balance. And I encourage, if you're in a space where you are indoors, closing your eyes and imagining it can have just the same effect. So if you're ready, you can open your eyes, and we're going to move on to the second strategy. And that's piggybacking off of grounding. It's using nature as medicine, because the science of going outside is very real. So let's talk about why this one works too. And most of us remember that we're humans and we're designed to be in nature. Yet shockingly, most of us spend 90% of our time indoors, which increases stress and lowers mood. Because when we're indoors, we're constantly stimulated by screens, by noises, by other people's attention. And we move away from the quietness of outside. And studies have shown that just 20 minutes outside can lower your blood pressure. It can reduce anxiety and boost serotonin and dopamine, which are our happy brain chemicals. Now, sometimes I get it. We don't have time for a full hike, and that's fine. Have you ever experienced you have a lot of errands to run, and just going from an enclosed space where maybe you're starting to feel drowsy or tired or worn out, and you go outside to walk between buildings or to get in your car to go to the next thing? Just those couple minutes being outside, breathing in that fresh air, taking in different stimuli, you almost feel re-energized. And that's something that you can do as well. Sometimes standing outside to take a couple deep breaths is so beneficial. And spending time in nature, whether, again, if you need to imagine it, if this isn't a possibility, is okay too. And I remember, and I'm curious if you guys have had the same situation or experience, but when I was a teenager, sometimes my days were so overwhelming. Even when I went to university and I had so many classes, and I was doing homework and going to work and trying to maintain a social life. Sometimes just stepping outside to escape my own thoughts and hearing the birds, or hearing a lawnmower, just something, moving away from being overstimulated inside, it felt great. And I could feel the breeze, the sound of the trees, and the fresh air completely changed how I felt. And I didn't realize it then, but I see it now. My nervous system was recalibrating. So, a great 5-minute nature reset. And I'd encourage everybody to try this if you don't have the ability to actually step outside. Maybe open a window, feel that fresh breeze on your face, take in the smells of the season. And if you can, just step outside and notice how your attention completely shifts to the beauty you're surrounded by. And even if it's in a city, all of the different cars that are going by, focusing on something outside of yourself can be so beneficial for that reset, for your whole mindset to shift. And when you focus on what you see, hear, feel, and smell, it also brings you back to the present moment. Because sometimes when we're stressed, we're focusing so much on the future, what you need to get done, your to-do list, XYZ, a paper coming up, a research deadline. Either that, or you can be focusing on the past. And that brings people stress too, about, oh, how they could have done better on a presentation. Oh, they missed that deadline. Oh, they didn't get the grade they were hoping for. But coming back to the present moment and experiencing that through your senses of sight, hearing, feeling, and smelling, and just taking a couple deep breaths, you'll notice that your body relaxes and you're moving from that fight or flight back to that relaxed state. And when you move back to that relaxed state, as we've already learned, it increases brain function. You're ready to continue learning or moving on to your next task. So again, even if you don't have time for a full hike or a walk, just stepping outside for a few minutes can really make a difference. And the next strategy, movement and energy flow. So again, let's talk about why this works. So as we've talked about, sometimes when we're stressed, we might feel it as we clench our jaw or in our shoulders. Maybe it's in our stomach, but wherever you feel it, sometimes stress can get stuck in our bodies. And if we sit all day and overthink or hold in our emotions, that stress can build up physically. But when we move, whether it's yoga, it could be stretching, it could be dancing, or it could even just be shaking it out, we can release that tension and reset our energy. Let that energy flow through you. Because movement, it releases endorphins. And when we shake all that energy that's been storing up, it clears the muscle tension. It increases dopamine and serotonin, which again, it improves our mood and focus. And that is our primary goal when we're trying to come up with strategies to move away from stress, really bringing us away from that fight or flight and stress response and moving to relaxation. Another thing, exercise stimulates neurogenesis. And what that is, it's the growth of new brain cells in the hippocampus, which is the center for learning and memory. So if you're trying to learn something new or work on a paper or work on research, this is extremely beneficial. It resets your brain and it gets it ready for new learning. And movement also, importantly, helps regulate the lymphatic system. And what that does is it reduces tension stored in the muscles. So one thing I found myself doing a lot when I was growing up was when I was stressed, I would just stand up and shake it out. I found myself just kind of shaking out from my elbow to my hands and just throwing them to the floor and trying to get rid of all of that energy. And it seems silly, but the movement really broke up the cycles of stress, and I felt better because my energy instantly shifted when I was doing this as a kid. So, ways that we can use stress release in movement. Which is super simple. If, say, you're at your desk or you're moving through a research assignment, getting ready to write a paper, just close your eyes and roll your shoulders back and down. And you can do this 5 times, you can do it 10 times. But shifting the position in which you're working, again, it shakes out that energy. It gets your body ready for a new learning because you're moving. You can also take a big stretch over your head. So you can stretch to the side, you can stretch down, but just using that movement, again, releases all that tension. And the one I've already talked about, shake out your hands and arms. You can do that seated if you want and you're having a really stressful day. Sometimes I do a whole body shake. I just get up and shake it all out. It kind of looks like a dance, kind of looks like a shake, whatever works for you. It's a great way to just dissipate all of it. And after you do these movements, breathe in deeply. And as you exhale, let it all go. Because remember, even a few seconds of movement can completely shift your state. All right, and the next strategy that we're going to talk about, it's breath work and intentional stillness. So I know we've mentioned breath work in a couple of these other strategies. It's because it's so important. Our breath work really activates the vagus nerve, and it shifts us from that fight or flight to a calm, relaxed state. And slow breathing, most importantly, it increases CO2 levels in the blood, which helps the body relax and aids in reducing anxiety. There was even a study in 2017 that found that breath-focused meditation enhances prefrontal cortex function, improving decision-making and reducing stress. And I used to think that stillness meant doing nothing, especially when you have so much on your plate and you think there's not enough time in the day to sit still. But I'm curious if any of you have experienced a zone out. You might call it something different, but when you almost zone out on one thing, you sit in stillness and even your eyes stare at maybe one thing on the wall. And you can be doing this anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 seconds. But afterwards, it's almost like a reset has happened. You feel fresh. And that's because you're focused on your breathing and everything else is still. It's such a productive way to recharge. So the next time you're zoning out, just think about the good that you're doing your body. You can also sit and meditate. Some people enjoy walking meditation, seated meditation, but just taking those moments of stillness and focusing on activating that vagus nerve by breathing and just sitting and, again, being present. Because I've said this already, but most of our stressors come from thinking about the past, what we could have done better, but more so future predicting, trying to think about all of the assignments you have to do in a month and thinking about them all at once in one day. So just coming back to that present, breathing, and focusing on our senses. Try to see what am I hearing? What am I smelling? I'm being very still. So I'm hearing and I'm actually just being present in my body and breathing in. So one breathing technique that has been proven to be extremely effective, and a lot of elite special forces teams and elite athletes use this type of breathing. It's called box breathing. And these individuals find themselves in high stress situations all the time. I mean, can you imagine being in sports right before a big game where thousands of people are watching you? Your contract's on the line. And you can also relate having huge deadlines or papers and research and this huge goal you're working towards. And that can be stressful. So taking a moment, and if you're open to it, I would love for you to do this practice with me. So I can show you what box breathing is and how simple it can be implemented. So if you take a moment to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And you repeat this, and it's for 4 seconds. And if you repeat this for 1 to 2 minutes, by the end of 1 minute, you've come back to yourself. You're fully present. Even like 20 seconds of this, you can do 1 round of this, and you will start to feel your body come back to the present moment. You will start to feel, if you feel stress in your heartbeat starts to slow and soften. That wherever you hold stress in your body, it starts to feel relief, because breathing this way shifts you into that relaxed state. So remember, this is an instant reset. You can use it anytime you feel overwhelmed, and it only takes 16 seconds. So if you feel pressed for time and you need a quick reset, I encourage you to try this out. And the last strategy I'd like to talk to you all about, and is the most important in my experience, and that's connection and authentic expression. And the reason it's so important is when we are, as humans, we love to be in community. We love to connect with others. And having someone witness your journey or be able to talk about what you're experiencing, it helps you feel seen. It helps you feel understood. And when we have those two things, we start to calm down because we no longer feel like we're alone. And when we speak to others and have that connection, it releases oxytocin. And what that does is it releases stress, and it actually boosts emotional resilience as well. Because when we're connecting with others, especially in a vulnerable state, because being stressed can feel vulnerable. Sometimes you might feel out of control. Sometimes you don't know what the next step is. And talking to someone, it really helps you understand yourself, what you're capable of emotionally, and connected. It also lowers cortisol, and it helps regulate stress levels. It can boost immune function and strengthen your overall health. And most importantly, it can, especially when you're going through a stressful time and when it involves studies, it can enhance brain function, improve memory and cognitive skills. Because when we relate to others, we're shifting from that fight or flight back to that relaxed state, and we're able to shift the energy in our brains so that we have those thinking skills, those critical thinking skills. And that is very important. And I'll be honest, there's been times in my life where I had so much on my plate, I didn't think anyone would understand, nobody would be able to relate, and I just thought I had to figure it out on my out all alone. But every time I reached out to a friend, my parents, my brother, or even a mentor, after the conversation, I felt like I got all of my worries, all of my stress off my chest. And I felt lighter because I had somebody who understood what I was going through And there's power in numbers in that. And I found that connection is really healing. And if it's really late at night or really early in the morning and it might not be possible to connect with someone, I also encourage you to journal, because just getting it off of your chest is the most important part. So ways that we can really be intentional and have these social connections, they can be so simple. You can reach out to someone. So that could be a call. It could be a text. It could be a message on social media. It could be an email. Anytime you're connecting or reaching out to somebody, again, you're not alone. You have somebody who understands and sees you, and they can help lessen that stress and that burden. Another great thing is expressing gratitude, sharing things you appreciate about people. Because yes, we all love receiving a compliment, but have you ever taken a minute to feel what it's like when you give someone else a compliment and you see the smile on their face? It's a great way to turn that anxious, that stress into joy and excitement, because anxiety and stress and excitement, the feelings are so close to one another that if you can shift it to excitement by expressing gratitude, you're already moving out of that stressful state. And the last thing is being fully present, and you can listen without distractions. So you may reach out to someone and they might want to talk. You might want to listen, and just hearing them and being present, because again, sometimes our stress comes from being in the past and thinking about things we could have done and thinking about the future of all the things we have to do that are on our to-do list. But being present and connecting with someone is beautiful, because now you're also hearing them. They're feeling seen. They're feeling understood. And you can share that, and because you know how that feels yourself. So sharing that moment with somebody can really bring us back to center. So just to recap, these lifestyle strategies for reducing stress are so simple, and they are quick, because I understand that many of you don't have a lot of time to do these things. So remember, you can focus on grounding, which is connecting with the earth. And that isn't just grass. It can be dirt. It can be soil. It can be sand. It can be rocks. It can be touching trees. There are so many options, whatever you have close to you. Remember the healing of nature and just stepping outside, breathing in that fresh air, hearing all of the birds, bees, animals around you. And remember movement, just shaking off that tension, letting it dissipate, as well as breath work, and just have a moment to pause and reset, because breathing really brings us back to the present. And the last one, again, which is so important, is that connection, because you are not alone. And reaching out and engaging with people, it helps you and them to feel seen, heard, and understood. So I just want to say thank you all. And if you have any questions, I am open to them now.
Done. Thank you, Manda. It was wonderful, and I have a lot of questions. I will take everybody's question, but I would just stick to 3 to 4 questions from my side,
Okay.
which I had already discussed with few scholars. Sometimes what happens is a scholar asked me how I can develop, how I can take criticism when I get criticism from my supervisor, whom I have
Mhm.
submitted my research, who gives me a particular criticism on what I have submitted it across to the supervisor. So how to deal with this situation?
Yes, that is an amazing question. And we all take such pride in our work. And anytime we don't get the response we were expecting, it can be emotional. So understanding that when this emotion comes up, our body every emotion, every action has a positive intention. And understanding that the emotion that's coming up, that's to protect you. At the end of the day, your body wants to protect you from feeling negative feelings. And if we can have that level of awareness to take a step back and say, okay, body, I appreciate you. You're trying to protect me from this emotion. I see that. I'm going to acknowledge that and then just listen, just be present and try to, and it can be difficult. I completely honor and acknowledge that. But if you can take a moment, and sometimes it might even be saying to the individual giving you that criticism, would you mind giving me a second so that I can get in the headspace to really hear what you are trying to tell me? And because sometimes we do just need to feel the feels and give ourselves those 5 seconds and then say, okay, thank you for giving me that space. I'm ready to be present and listen. Because when we're fully present, emotions fade away and we're listening and we're hearing what they're saying, knowing that they also have your best interest at heart.
Yes, perfect. So that this was the main point where the scholars get demoralized. What their supervisor tell them on. I also tell them on a very timely way that you have to take things positively, work on it, go to the next level, jot it down, divide it into timelines, and you have to open up with your supervisor. Like you have to tell them what kind of core research you are doing, why specifically you've chosen this topic, what is your inclination behind it, and what is the final outcome you have to take it out from it. So if you open it up with your scholar, if you open it up with your supervisor or maybe your subordinates, you will always be having a very lighter atmosphere, lighter process, lighter structure to complete your PhD. Second question, which I will hurry it up, Rock, because we are having more questions. There's how to prioritize your task, and which task is urgent is a big question. We also get this question in our corporate structure also, like how to prioritize the thing. We think everything is important. We mix up the things. We get stressed of not completing anything on time. So how to prioritize that part?
Yes, that I used to struggle with this as well, where I thought everything was a priority. So I tried to get 15 things done in one day. And I'm sure most of you can relate when you have that pressure of trying to do 15 things and prioritizing them all equally, you're only able to put about 7% of your effort towards it. So it's not the best quality. And also, I would get overwhelmed. So I would just push it off. So when it comes to prioritizing, it's really acknowledging, okay, I try to focus on 3 things. If these 3 things happen today, what will move me the closest to my goal? Because everything has to get done. We all appreciate and understand that. But every day, try to pick your top 3, because then you can give the most energy to those 3 topics without feeling overwhelmed, and you're making consistent effort forward. And that's something that is a lot more important than having one day where you get 15 things done, but you're so exhausted, you didn't put a good effort towards them because you were spread so thin. And then you want to take 7 days off and push all those tasks. So each day, that consistency, and maybe it's even one goal, right? I have this saying that small hinges swing big doors. So small steps forward help you move towards that bigger goal a lot more consistently than trying to overwhelm yourself and prioritize everything at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Uh, this point when it comes to prioritization of task is again important. When it comes to when you prioritize for the research part, you divide it into different aspects, from synopsis submissions till the end. I'm being too technical about it because we all have PhD scholars here. So you have to
Mhm.
prioritize. What I tell them is to prioritize it on a very proper manner, because what happens is if they don't prioritize their entire research program, so it tends to increase the duration of the PhD. So I tell them to prioritize, but this is a very regular question when it comes to they say that I feel that this is the priority, and they put in more things into it, the things jungle up, and ultimately they delay their entire PhD program. So
Mhm.
I think this will give an answer to their question. I will take only one more question, then I can take everybody's else question. I have few questions in the chat box also. Um,
Mhm.
you said a wonderful thing. You said that the body gives you a signal for the stress, right? So it gives you a signal. What are the early signals which we should take care and we should not ignore? Is for our lifestyle also, and for academics also, and for every single thing.
Yes. So everybody's body is different. So stress can show up where you start getting really hot, or you start to feel your heartbeat increase, or you get like tension in your neck and your head, and your muscles start to tense. Some people feel it's like a rock or a ball in their stomach, or it can also be in your throat where you feel like no matter what you just want to say, you can't get it out, or just that constant movement where your whole body is jittering. Those are key signals that you are under stress. And I do also want to bring up in this moment, there's a difference between stress and overwhelm, right? So, stress are those early signals. When you hit overwhelm, that's that burnout stage. That's where you've been in stress way too long, and all you want to do is sleep. You've lost your motivation, you're procrastinating and putting everything off because your body has been telling you you need a shift for so long that it's forcing you to. It shuts down. Sometimes it can show up as a sickness where for 2 weeks you have nothing, there's nothing you can do but lay in bed coughing and sleeping, because your body will eventually force you to get the rest and that switch in energy that it's been asking for.
Thank you. So let's take some questions. They are into chat box. After the chat box questions, I will ask anybody who wants to ask you questions directly. Jyotsna is asking question: How to balance work with PhD studies, manage stress in such a situation?
Yes, so balance is key. And one thing I find to be super effective when you have a job, when you have PhD, when you have home life is, have you ever heard of schedule blocking? Where you have set times where, okay, I am just at home, I'm just with my friends or family. For those 2 hours, I'm purely focused on my friends. And then block around 5 hours. These 5 hours, I'm only focused on my PhD. Or when you have your work hours, when you're at the office, you're only focused on work. What happens is when we bleed into one another. So say you're at work, but your mind is on your PhD, or you're with your friends and your mind is on work and your PhD. Your mind has so many things going on that you will be stressed. So time blocking I find to be very effective, and that could be turning off your phone and only thinking about one thing at a time. Because for years we've been told multitasking is so great, but studies have shown that you can't actually multitask. Monotasking is the most effective. So I would really focus on time blocking and picking those top 2, 3 priorities and giving them diligent times on your calendar.
Thank you. Ashima says regulating breathing and detaching thoughts through mindfulness practice can help.
Yes.
Is this true?
Yes. So mindfulness practice and regulating your breathing is really, really great for settling your nervous system. And I love that she reiterated that, especially when again, that bleeding happens when you're trying to prioritize and you're thinking about 10 things at once. We touched base on it a couple of times, but a lot of stress comes when you're focused on the past of all the things you could have done, as well as the future, all the things you have to do. But when you focus on breathing, you're doing that mindful meditation, you're in the present. And that when you're fully in the present, your system relaxes deeply.
Okay. Trilok Singh has a question. Can you explain brief about Eisenhower matrix and how can it help in prioritizing task effectively?
Can you help me understand that question a little bit more?
It's Can you explain a brief on Eisenhower matrix. If you have that study of that particular matrix.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the matrix.
I think
Time management actually.
Time management, is that what I'm hearing?
yeah, it's more about how the time management can be done. Is any kind of matrix or maybe any kind of structure can be designed?
Yes. So with time management, there has been a lot of effective studies that say if you do 20 minutes hardcore focused on whatever project you're working on, and then a 5-minute break, and you keep oscillating that 5-minute break could be where you breathe, where you go outside, where you shake it all out. So you can use any of these 5 strategies in that 5-minute break. But with time management, so even if you have a 5-hour block of time set aside for your research, if you do 20 minutes, and for some people it can be longer, but it has been shown that most effectively is 20-minute increments of hard work and a 5-minute break. That prevents you from getting stressed out or burnt out because there's that little reward after 20 minutes of hard work.
Okay. Shumangi is asking a very important question. It is with all of the people around I've been speaking across, how to control overthinking. And there are two parts of it. Somebody says something has happened bad with me, or there is an overthinking that something will happen bad with me. So this is a very important question.
Yes, and it's so common. So the first thing to know about this is you're not alone. 78% of people experience this daily, where it's almost like a looping thought, where you think, oh, this didn't go well for me yesterday, and then this didn't go well for me, and this morning this didn't go well for me, so tomorrow's not going to go well for me. And we get in our head and we start overthinking of the negative things. And the first thing I always encourage people to do is practice awareness. And don't approach yourself with judgment. Approach yourself with curiosity, because judgment is just going to perpetuate that looping negative thought. But if you have a level of awareness, be like, oh, I'm heading down that rabbit hole, as we say, of overthinking, and say, okay, I'm aware that this is happening. Get curious. What do I think triggered that? Why did I go from, okay, I didn't do well on this project, and then I didn't make it home on time, so I'm a bad person. How did I get from one to the next? Start being curious, asking yourself questions, and you'll start to find that it's almost a pivot point where when that overthinking starts and that awareness kicks in, now that you have the awareness, you have a choice point. Before, you were on autopilot. You were just looping through these negative thoughts because it's familiar and it's what you're accustomed to. But now you have a choice point. It's, do I want to continue this looping thought, or do I want to be curious and figure it out and maybe stop it and think of a different thought? So that's how I really encourage people to approach it. And be gracious with yourself, because it takes time. It's very difficult to just fix it overnight. But what I've seen in my experience that changes your trajectory the fastest is that level of awareness and curiosity and creating that choice point.
Ashima is asking 20 minutes of breathing regulation with letting thoughts come and go instead of attaching yourself with them helps too. That's why we learn to detach and watch, and then we start questioning in the phase 2. Is asking.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like I was just talking about, having that level of awareness and being curious, not attaching judgment, just letting those thoughts come and go. That is a beautiful start, and it is so helpful. So yes, I completely agree with her.
So I will take some questions. If anybody wants to ask Amanda questions directly, you can one by one, you can switch on your microphone and then you can ask a question. If anybody wants to ask a question.
Hi, can I come in? This is Ashima.
Yeah, Ashima, please. Yeah.
Hi, Ashima.
Okay. Hi, Amanda. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was pretty insightful, whatever you're talking. And, it absolutely is important in today's world and time when you're talking about stress and anxiety. And, that ability or that want to ace it, it kind of makes the emotions and the thoughts rush in. And as you have very beautifully put it, we'll have to learn to slow down the systems. And it doesn't happen overnight. It'll take a while before we can get there, but it really really helps. So any last summarization of the whole thing? What are the basic steps which one should follow?
Yes, that's such a great question. And again, I'm going to touch back on that awareness and curiosity because it's so integral in spearheading that change, which when you want to do well and that stress creeps in because you want to put your best foot forward, you have a lot to accomplish. Have that awareness, have that curiosity, and in those moments, practice your breathing. And all of the strategies I've mentioned, whether it's grounding, being in nature, breathing, movement, and connection, they're all free. They're all at your disposal. It takes 5 minutes. So try to figure out what strategy works best for you and just have grace with yourself as you're working towards this change.
Amanda, can I add a point to it? When I'm studying yoga, they talk about one word which is called chitta prasadan, which means you have to learn to, have the beautification of your mind through 4 words, because we are always so jealous of others, or we are just trying to look outward. We're just wanting to do things the way people are wanting, and that kind of makes us feel left out, and we have that FOMO, the fear of missing out. So I think somewhere we'll have to learn to be friendly. There are 4 words, they're Sanskrit words. I'll just say them and explain the meaning. One of them is called karuna. It means to have sympathy for the people around instead of feeling bad, just feeling plain bad. Oh my God, this is happening wrong to him. And then those who are really achieving something, we have to have mudita. Speak nice words for them, be friendly with them instead of feeling jealous and saying, oh, he's doing so great, I'm not doing anything. And then the people who are toxic, who are trying to, make us feel down, we can just plain go, avoid them. So we can have upeksha. So these are the 3 words. And the 4th word, which is to be friends with the people who are really nice and we can have good time with them. These are the 4 important words of making your consciousness work towards positivity. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it draws such awareness to the balance and focusing on bringing your best foot forward and providing some tools that you can do that. So thank you so much.
I will take some any other questions if anybody wants to ask, because we are getting short of time. If there are questions, anybody, you can switch on your mics or you can write down in the chat box. Amanda, just to, if we have the question, we'll just wind up the session. If we don't have that, I will just ask you to give them the link of your profiles. If they want to speak to you directly, they can. How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, so I actually put a handout together summarizing this session, and it has a link on the bottom. It has my website, and I'm actually offering a special student discount for if you'd like to book a session with me. It's a QR code right on the handout, so you can scan it with your phone, and it brings you right to the link to schedule the session. And then on my website, it has links to all of my social media. It has links to all of my coaching modalities, my experience, etc. So would you remind me what the
You've
best
already
way?
sent the handouts, and
Okay.
everybody can check their emails. The handouts are already with them. We will also send it across on the WhatsApp also, so that is much more easier for everybody to download it across. You can also, everybody can direct message Amanda on the Instagram profile. Amanda, if you can just put it across on the chat box, your Instagram profile.
Okay. I seem to be frozen.
No issues. So what I will do is we will send it your Instagram profile to everybody. So anybody
Okay, thank you.
who wants to directly message you, interact with you, or maybe in the future if they want any kind of help regarding their stress management, life science, life uh, upgradations, and everything. To end up this session, my major focus for everybody, having everybody come out on the Sunday, was basically in the entire PhD journey. There are lots of ups and downs which comes across for a PhD scholar. We say it's a myth also. They say that it's very difficult. We say that it's not very difficult. You have to prioritize what you said. You have to divide the entire structure. We have to have that peace of mind. We have to have that piece of focus. uh, so sessions like this always keep a very good positive atmosphere for every scholar which are with us. They give these sessions give us right kind of positivity. With an experts like you, it is very important for us to understand that PhD is not a rocket science, or it's a very difficult process. It's not. It's a process where you need to have a very good right focus from very starting until you complete your entire process. Uh, so I would request a final closing note from your side for all the scholars, and where then we'll be ending this session.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again so much for having me. It was such a pleasure. And again, if you guys any need help in the future with stress management or just finding balance in your life, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to support.
Thank you so much. And please give us your feedback on the emails. We'll send it across to Amanda also. And thank you, everybody, for joining us for this wonderful session. Thank you, Amanda. You took time out, and it was a extremely wonderful session we had for everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining.